This talk is sponsored by Radicle. Radicle is a peer-to-peer stack for building software together. Built on protocols instead of platforms, Radicle provides creators with the secure and uncensorable code infrastructure, tools for collective code governance, and new ways to earn for open source work. Learn more at radicle.xyz.
Hey there. In this talk I'm going to give an introduction on what the streamer network is, and we'll see how Web3 projects and developers are using these new Web3 primitives to compete in a Web2 world. So the data network I'm talking about is the streamer network, and the network's function is to transport streams of messages. It's a real-time messaging system which enables applications and devices such as IoT sensors or connected cars, applications, browsers, whatever, to share and trade their data. Streams are anchored in blockchains, incentivized with cryptocurrencies, and are powered by everyday people that provide reliable bandwidth. I'll get into those parts later, but for now you can understand it as an open and permissionless public good infrastructure for Web3 applications. The network enables free market trade and distribution of the world's data, while at the same time it decentralizes the flow of that data, and most importantly, it decentralizes the flow away from the tech giants that are currently hoarding it in Web 2. The network is fast and it's secure. Blockchains measure latency in seconds, Streamer measures it in milliseconds. Every message is cryptographically signed and end-to-end encrypted and delivered in usually under 300 milliseconds. It's serverless and free to use, thanks to its peer-to-peer architecture. However, to incentivize a fast and seriously robust network, we employ bounty contract tokenomics that act as a sort of summoning spell for node operators that provide their reliable bandwidth. And you can sell access to your data streams on Streamer, since of course in Web3, the data you generate is yours. And to give you a bit of some context on the progress of the project, we've been going at this for almost 5 years now. Only in the last week we launched the decentralized network. Later in the year we'll complete our full roadmap, which includes the token incentive layer. But before the full tokenomics are activated, we are offering staking rewards for running a node. The nodes run with very low hardware requirements, and the rewards are very good at the moment. So with a Raspberry Pi, you can and some data tokens staked on that node, you can earn over 500% APY. So very good. So get on it. And as I mentioned, at the Tatum milestone later in the year, we really upgrade the economic layer of this network. The data tokens utility is to incentivize an improved data streaming quality of service by summoning these mining nodes, otherwise known as broker nodes, to join a stream topology and provide a backbone of sorts to protect against node churn and known attack vectors in decentralized protocols. So those are the basics of the data network we're building. Let's move on to an example of a stream on Streamer. On the Streamer Network website, we had the need to display a real-time value of the data token price. And of course, this can be done with a stream on Streamer. So it starts with a publisher script that is pushing data into a stream on the Streamer network. Straightforward so far, but in the next slide things get interesting. What you're seeing here is our network explorer that's displaying everybody that's visiting the Streamer network website. These website visitors are actually nodes in the network without knowing it. This is possible because under the hood the data is flowing over WebRTC data channels directly between the stream topology peers. So the visitors of the websites are sharing this information. And it happens after coordinating with the orchestration layer of the network. These browser nodes, or light nodes as we call them, are propagating messages to their peers, spreading the data throughout the network so that everybody gets the real-time flow of data from the original publisher without needing to connect to the publisher. So what can you build with a data network in Web3? Well, on the front line of the ecosystem at the application layer, we are seeing projects that leverage their Web3 data edge. At Streamer, we pioneered the concept of the data union, which is an SDK for developers that plugs in the user's data into the Web3 data economy with full transparency and rich consent, unlocking a business model that is better than targeted advertising. Thank God. This is the pattern. It helps to coordinate data producers with data buyers in a way that incentivizes the crowd in an ethical way to create valuable data sets. Here's a project called Swash. They allow you to monetize your web browsing behavior. They use the Streamer network for data transport as well as our data unions framework for sharing revenue with their users at scale. Next is Demo, a team that's doing something a little similar to Swash, but for cars. They have a hardware device you can plug into your electric vehicle, or I think it's any vehicle now, that shares data about the car in real time over the Streamer network. That data can be used to detect traffic, alerts about accidents nearby, or weather conditions like slippery roads. Crypto gaming people often talk about play to earn. Well, this is drive to earn, and Swash is surf to earn, and so on. You can see a pattern here. Next, we have Matt. They're a ride-sharing app using their Web3 data edge to compete with the likes of Uber. I like this example because this is showing that the Web2 can also pivot into Web3 with an already existing application and user base. They can migrate to Web3. It doesn't have to always be starting from scratch. And then we have Unbanks. They make it possible to monetize your banking transaction data. In Europe, banks are now required to provide APIs that allow people to download their financial data from the bank systems. One takeaway from this is that regulation can enable bridges between Web 2 and Web 3 and spark new data economies. Next on the Web3 application layer is social media. Now, I don't think I need to convince anybody that Web2 social media is a dumpster fire. We have single points of failure, an internet of walled gardens, and an ad model that creates an economic pressure for algorithms to optimize for outrage. We can do so much better in Web3. In Web3, you own your own data and your social graph, so it's quite impossible to get deplatformed. Social graphs can be stored on-chain, and social graphs could even be generated by on-chain activity. And this is a glimpse into the future, the chat.eth. It's an instant messenger that uses Ethereum wallets for identity and the Streamer network for message transport. In Web 2, you have the platforms that strive to collect as much information about you on their servers as possible. In a peer-to-peer network, there's no such server, so we're off to a good start already. And nobody can deny you access to this application, eavesdrop on your messages, or prevent you from communicating. In Web 2 social networks, all sorts of fraud and impersonation runs wild, but here our identity is our wallet. And every single message is cryptographically signed with your private key, so you can verify that you're chatting with, say, the owner of a certain NFT or an ENS name or a team member of a certain project. There's also Hypha. They're doing chat on top of Streamer and looking to integrate data unions and video chat as well between multiple addresses. Pretty cool. Next is Web3 Gaming. So we're seeing grassroots indie developer movement here. Particularly at hackathons, we see developers reach for Streamer for real-time data availability, just like they would for reach for IPFS for their storage needs. A neat example of Web3 gaming is dChess. So all chess moves are published on Streamer streams as messages, so the game can be played without any servers, which is truly direct peer-to-peer gaming. I love this. You're interacting with the other player. There's no middleman whatsoever. And another innovation from dChess is NFT chess pieces that are enhanced by their own data. For example, a horse gaining stripes when it takes the opponent's pieces. The token itself is on-chain, but the metadata points to a data stream on Streamer. And this kind of data-driven dynamic NFT is completely decentralized. Other real-time interactive art could, for example, have presence features. The piece could change based on how many people are looking at it and so on, all fully decentralized. As everything shown here has been based on open protocols, you get full composability with the protocols as well as the underlying data. In Web3, there are no silos. Individual apps are just interfaces to the same underlying data fabric created by the open protocols, and this is a very important point. So like Lego pieces, you could combine a chat app with a data union, or perhaps a play-to-earn dynamic data-driven NFT that unlocks access to a token-gated social network. The future of Web3 is indeed bright. There's lots of new features and design patterns that are yet to be even imagined, yet alone implemented. And it's all made possible by these composable open protocols that share the same passion for permissionless and decentralized infrastructure, just like the Streamer network. The next big battle, I think, will be protocols versus platforms. It's kind of a slow start for protocols, especially in the Web3 space, because we started just as blockchains alone, and really the Web3 stack really needs to at least be competitive with what's on offer with Web2, so that we can provide similar UX for the average mainstream user of applications, and then we can start to level up from there with all the sorts of value adds that come from the composable crypto primitives that as crypto natives we're quite familiar with. So I think it'll be a slow start for protocols, but once the Web3 stack matures, it'll be unstoppable, and that will be by design. Okay, that's all. We've covered a lot. Feel free to reach out to me to chat anything Web3, and we have a grants program that developers are very welcome to apply to build something on Streamer. We warmly welcome all sorts of developers and projects of all sizes, and thanks for listening.